Hey friends, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I switched my background up and I'm low-key obsessed. Let me know what you guys think. I really just wanted like a more comfortable, homey kind of vibe with greenery. I don't know. It might be kind of busy, but I'm kind of into it. So let me know your thoughts. Today, we're going to be doing a video that's been really requested over on my IG. I have a highlight of brands that I no longer support. These brands, in my opinion, are problematic. A lot of people wanted to know why, so I decided to go ahead and film a video on it because it's just so much information that it would literally just take it would take so long to just like write it all out. And I did write a lot of like talking points and stuff out, and like there are pages, you guys. This is why this video has taken so long, because it took a lot of time to figure out, you know, what I wanted to say, what key points I wanted to hit on, and that sort of thing. So yeah, if you're interested to know what brands I feel are problematic and why I don't support them, then be sure to stay tuned. If you're new here, hey, go ahead and hit the subscribe button before you leave. We are, as I'm filming this, getting very close to 1K, which I'm really, really excited about. I would love to have you. And of course, before you leave, or actually, you know what, just stop right now, hit the thumbs up button. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about problematic brands that I don't support and why. The first thing I want to do is a little bit of disclaimer, and I'd appreciate if you didn't skip through it, just because this might help us alleviate some potentially rude comments in the comment section. And I think it could also help you all better understand kind of where I'm coming from as like a consumer and as a creator. I really wanted to make sure that I touched on these points. So let's just go ahead and jump into them. The first one is that, you know, we are all free to spend our money as we choose to. So if you choose to still support and buy from these brands, that's your business. It's your money. You work for it. Like, do what you're doing. I try to, and I'm not perfect by any means at all, but I try to vote with my money. And when I find out something problematic about a brand and I don't want to support them, I don't want to continue to line their product, like their pockets. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with that. And then also to just be mindful that we can't know everything all the time about brands. We can't. Like, there are so many brands that I've loved in the past and been completely blindsided and surprised by their behavior or something that they've done. So we can't know everything, and don't like beat yourself up about it. I just try to move forward with the mindset that, okay, now I know, and how am I going to move forward from here? Like, what action am I going to take to move forward from here? Because I do feel like when this new information comes to light, it's our responsibility to, you know, reevaluate our stance with the brand, and if they, you know, align with your morals or whatever, if you want to still continue to support them or not. This one might offend some people. The phrase, "but it's just makeup," if you can say, "but it's just makeup," that's a privilege. You're privileged enough to be able to say, "Oh, but it's just makeup," because that means that, you know, the brand, what they have done isn't directly affecting you, but it's affecting a lot of others in the community. And believe me, I miss the time of when I was naive enough to be like, oh, it's just makeup. I miss when it was just makeup. And I wish it could be just makeup again. I really, really do. But there are, you know, some things that these brands done that you just cannot, or I at least cannot, look the other way. So I wanted to make that point as well, that I try, when I find out this new information about brands and it's not aligning with my morals or it's hurting some of my friends in the community, I morally cannot continue to spend my money with them. What you do is what you do, but this is what I do. And then, like I mentioned in the beginning, you know, if you choose to continue to support and purchase from some of these brands that I mentioned today, that's your business. And honestly, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to tune in and have an open mind enough to be willing to listen and hear why I personally don't support them, because maybe my reasoning can shed some light on the situation for you, or, you know, maybe you weren't even aware of the situation. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for coming to this video and hanging out and having an open mind and being willing to learn. Now, whatever time you're watching this, I highly encourage you grab yourself a beverage. I'm still working on my coffee from this morning. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video. I'm hoping I can get it all into one, but I really just like don't want to like rush, you know. And I have 12 brands that I currently don't support. Or just kidding, I have 14. I have 14 that I currently don't support. And then I have one that is currently on the chopping block for me. Also, this sweatshirt is so cute. It says Dog Mom, and it's so like light and comfortable. It's from Bark Babes. I mentioned them before, but I'll link them below as well if you want to check out some of their merch if you're a doggy mommy. But anyways, so the first brand I don't support is JD Glow. If you haven't heard of them, they are a smaller indie brand who is woman owned. I do have a handful of their shadows. You've probably seen them before. They're these really big pans on my channel. They are really stunning. The formula is really beautiful. I also have several, well, this isn't good if I already can't think. Loose pigments from them. There we go. Several loose pigments. And I guess I just wanted to say that when I decide I don't support a brand, I don't immediately throw that product away. But sometimes I just cannot even stand to look at the product, so I declutter it to like a friend, or I resell it, or whatever. So just wanted to peep that as well. So JD Glow was recently involved in a problematic situation over on Instagram. So a government official had posted on social media over on IG supporting pro-life movements, which support women not having the right to their own body, bodily autonomy, and whatever. Now, someone spotted that JD Glow had liked this post, and they called JD Glow out. When JD Glow was called out, they said, oh, well, I just like and scroll. I like and scroll so that I can come back and read, which doesn't even make sense to me. If you like a post, it doesn't save it. Like, you have to save the post. So first of all, that didn't even make sense. But they were trying to act like, you know, oh, I just liked it and whatever. I didn't even see what was happening. Well, this person clapped back with a screenshot of JD Glow actually commenting on the post. And they had said, aw, something along the lines of, aw, all those poor babies. Like, so it made it seem as though they are not for women and for women's choice, and they're not supporting women. They're supporting the pro-life culture as we know it in the States to this day. And I just thought it was really, honestly, they made it so much worse for themselves. Because not only did they lie, but then when they were called out, like, oh, well, you commented on this post, they continued to lie and would not honest up, level up, whatever. And they started deleting a bunch of comments on their page. I had reached out to them personally, and they had sent me what they'd been copying and pasting everyone that, oh, we support women, we support whatever. And it's like, you know, if you support women, why are you liking this content and commenting on this content, which makes it seem like you're in support of this content, but it also boosts this content. I know a lot of people were on the fence because they're like, oh, they're just liking a post. Well, I'll be damned if I liked a post like that I don't agree with. Why would you like that? I would not ever like a post like that does not align with what I think or I believe. So you can give them the benefit of the doubt if you want, but I just think they knew exactly what they were doing and they didn't think anybody would see it. And that's what it is. So I want to just go through my notes here to make sure that I touched on everything I wanted to touch on with this brand. And I have. That's why I don't support them, you guys. To me, they made it clear that they are not in support of women and women's rights. And I don't want to give money to a company that doesn't support me, which is what it is. So JD Glow is off my shopping list. And the second one we're going to talk about today is ABH, or Anastasia Beverly Hills. My first note on this, all caps, loud, LOL, because if you've been in the community for a while, then like, you know, we could go on and on about ABH. Man. And I've only been in the beauty community, beauty space for about 2 years, a little over 2 years now. So I was pretty naive to all of the drama that had happened before that. And that's the thing too, if you know, you're not in the community, then it's easy to not be aware of all of this stuff going on. So I want to give yourself grace if you didn't know about this stuff, because how could you know everything? You know what I mean? So give yourself some grace, fam. Give yourself some grace. But so when I first came into the community, it was about 5 months before Rona. When we entered into 2020 in the Rona situation, ABH got into a bit of a hot water they weren't paying creators, especially in the POC community. And they were, I forget the specific creator's name now, but basically they were refusing to pay her. And then they agreed to a rate and they weren't paying her the rate that they agreed to. They were basically just trying to give her the shaft. And she was a person of color as well. And so she took to IG and used her platform to talk about how the brand ABH had mistreated her. And when she spoke about this story, there were other people in the POC community that came forward and chatted about their experiences with ABH. And they also had employees coming forward talking about the toxic work culture and how they were being treated and how it was a really hostile environment. So that was all a really huge mess. And that was all in 2020. And here's the thing too, guys, if you want a super deep dive on what happened with almost all these brands I'm going to talk about, Smoky Glow does some really great in-depth videos. But also, even if you just type into your search bar wanting to know something about it, I can guarantee you someone's done a really big deep dive. So just, the more you know. But so at this time, I had decided to take a break from ABH. At that time, I owned one palette from ABH. And the whole situation had kind of, seemed to blow over. They had talked about it, whatever. and there hadn't really been any more scandals for a while. So at the end of 2021, I was like, okay, like I can take ABH off my naughty list for now. And I had picked up a few of the palettes that I had been eyeing from the brand. And I don't know why I did that, because I just want to tell you guys, if I learned anything, it's once problematic, always problematic. It doesn't change. It doesn't. So I had picked up some of the items that I had been eyeing for a long time, but I hadn't picked up. And shortly after that, well, I guess not shortly, more recently here in 2022, with the war going on in Ukraine, still going on as we speak, someone had posted a meme, and I wish I had the screenshot. I wish I was that person that saves screenshots, but like I just don't have enough storage. But someone had posted a meme where Putin essentially was like insulting or making fun of the whole war in Ukraine and not taking it seriously. And ABH had liked it. And again, you know, they tried to say, oh, we just like all this stuff on our feed, blah, blah, blah. And like, you can choose to believe that if you want. I don't choose to believe that, because I don't like, I don't. Like, if I don't follow things that align with that kind of behavior. But two, I don't go through and just, because like, who knows what it's saying? Who knows what it's supporting? And I feel like if they're going through and blindly doing that, then maybe they need to just do better on their end and pay the fuck attention. That would be a first thing. But ABH has literally just been so problematic over, honestly, like the majority of their time in the community, that I just don't feel, I'm not giving them another chance anymore. And it's my understanding that the POC community is still not, they have not forgiven ABH. They still do not support the brand. And whenever there's an issue when it comes to the POC community or the API community, we really need to, as someone who's Caucasian like myself, listen to the voices of the community that has been offended or attacked or mistreated. And I really try to listen to their voices when it comes to problematic brands like this. And from talking to some of my friends in the community, like, they are still not in support of ABH from the stuff that went down in 2020. And I, you know, should have stayed strong with them. I caved because I'm a makeup fanatic. And then, you know, ABH turned around and did this with Ukraine. And really, it's just, liking a meme like that is just so disgusting, because of what's going on is so serious, you guys. So many innocent people are like dying. So why would you ever like anything making fun of that? It's just so insensitive and disgusting. And so then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm done with this brand. I'm done. And I, as of now, have decluttered the majority of my ABH products. I don't want to use them anymore. And other people will get really great use out of them. And yeah, and I've honestly too been like, and I know this might, I don't know. I also like, if people are posting content clearly supporting the brand, then I've also strayed away from liking or engaging on that content, because it's not against the creator, but like, I don't want to give the brand, I don't want to boost the brand. you know? And I know there's people that will post those products because they're panning them and they're trying to get them out of their collection. I'm like, go you for that. But people that are still actively going out and buying, I just can't. Like, all the people that bought the new ABH palette, I'm like, how quickly we've forgotten and moved on. And just, I encourage you to be really mindful, or try to be as mindful as you can of what you're supporting with your cash. But yeah, so that's ABH for me and why I don't support them. The third brand is KKW Beauty. And this one really sucked because if you don't know, KKW Beauty is owned by Kim Kardashian. She, honestly, I love the brand. I had completely like panned one of her palettes. I had like half the other palette panned. I had bought in the Camo palette, which is well loved. And then I had the Classic Volume 2 that I'd only tried once or twice. Like, I had a lot. I had like several palettes. I had lip products. Like, I enjoyed the brand. What did it for me was this year she had an interview with, I want to say Vogue. I want to say it was with Vogue. And I'm not even going to go back and watch it because it's going to re-trigger me. But she made the most disgusting tone-deaf comment about the working class woman that I will never be able to give her one more of my working class woman dollars. She said something along the lines of, like, when they asked her how she was so successful, she was like, well, I get up and I work for it. I work hard. She's like, the average working class woman doesn't want to get up and work for it. Like, get up and fucking work. And I was like, okay. Okay. And it's just gross because, one, if you don't know my job, I work in social services, and it's a bigger problem than just wanting to go to work. A lot of people in the impoverished community have jobs. And here's the thing. Those jobs don't pay well. So even though they have a job to support their family and their children, they need that government assistance. Now, when she, made her comment, she probably didn't think about the families that have, mom has 2 jobs, takes care of kids, dad has a job. Guess what? They still don't make enough money to meet all of their needs because of how high housing is, food costs, gas costs, just the cost of living in general is so much higher than the salary that the average Americans are bringing in. Plus, this mom, I actually had this situation where this mom got offered a job where she would be making $20 an hour, right? Which she was so, she was so excited about it because it's something that she would have actually enjoyed, but she couldn't take it. You want to know why? Because if she took that job, then she would lose all of her other benefits. She had 3 kids. She was a single mother. She would have lost her food stamps. She would have lost her WIC. She would have lost her Medicaid because she made too much money. But without those benefits, she would not be able to support her family. So she couldn't take a job that would have made more and helped her family because she would have lost those other benefits. And the $20 an hour isn't enough to pay for all of the family's needs. Like, it's just not enough money. So it doesn't matter how hard you work when you're in the impoverished class, when you're in the lower middle class, like myself. You can work, but at the end of the day, it is what it fucking is. And I'm sorry if I'm getting on my soapbox here, but like literally, I work a full-time job. I work a hard job. I work a job that's underpaid even though we need people. On top of that, I put out 3 videos a week for you guys. I put up 1 to 2 posts a day on Instagram for content. I work, in my opinion, 2 jobs. Social media, which is a lot of work, plus my job. And it's not, you know, it was just so gross of her to say work harder, because it's like, bruh, there's only so many hours in the day. We're all tired. We're all underpaid. And I chose to spend my money with KKW Beauty. But if you're going to say that like I'm lazy and I'm not working hard enough, then I'm not going to give you one of those goddamn dollars that I didn't work hard for. So, safe to say, I hate KKW Beauty. They will never get another dollar of my money, ever. Ever, ever. Following up on that, Kylie Cosmetics. There has been a lot of speculation regarding poor work conditions, poor pay, where her makeup is made. There's been people that have been talking about this actually for quite some time. And then after, like I said, after Kim's comment, I just can't. Like, I cannot. And then, like, Kim is the one that said it, but, like, her whole family was, like, standing there. And it's just like, man, you wouldn't be anything that you are today without these working class women that buy your products, watch your show. Like, you wouldn't be nothing, girls. So I really just, after that, I was like, I'm freaking done with the Kardashians. And like, they were like favorite like trash TV to watch, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but like just no more. I work really hard for my money, as I'm sure a lot of you watching this do. And I don't want to support someone who openly like belittled me and so many of my fellow women. Like, it's just gross. So yeah, Kylie Cosmetics is also out for me. The next brand is Too Faced. I have not supported them in a long time. I want to say it's probably like around the end of 2020 or something like that, which I don't really have a lot from them anyway. I think I have 1 palette, and I got it as a gift. My other palette I got as a gift as well, but I gave that one away. But so for me, Too Faced has just been, one, mostly not appealing. Like, a lot that they put out doesn't really appeal to me. But also, I will never forget when Nikki Tutorials came out as trans because someone was blackmailing her, and the owner's sister, who was also involved in the business, changed her bio on Instagram to openly mock and belittle Nikki. And I just thought that was so disgusting because, one, Nikki didn't get to come out on her own terms, which is, you know, sad. Like, no one should be forced to come out. But then to have, like, someone who's involved with a huge brand like Too Faced openly basically calling you a liar is fucked. After this, they did remove her from all, like, business decisions and affiliations and whatnot, but her brother is still openly, like, a part of those things, which I think is really interesting, because he's a part of the LGBTQIA+ community. But it just put such a gross taste in my mouth because, you know, my brother's a part of the LGBTQIA+ community. We have other family members that are, I have lots of friends that are, and for someone to come for someone in that community, like, it just gross. Gross, gross, gross. So that's why I don't support Too Faced, and that's the thing. You might think, oh, it's just one time, one comment. Like, okay, fine, but that was enough for me to be like, yeah, I ain't giving you no more of my money, especially since Too Faced is, like, in my opinion, pretty overpriced. But yeah, they're just ones that I just cannot, after that, I cannot get on board with it. I can't. So Too Faced has been out for me for a long time. The next brand is Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Does he even have a brand anymore? But so when I came into the community, I was not aware of Jeffree Star's past. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you didn't know or you weren't aware, like, give yourself grace because you can't know everything. But when you come across the knowledge, make the decision, you know? So, oh God, literally, what hasn't he done? And I feel like it was Smoky Glow that did a really good video about this. But not only with the whole, you know, bi sister scandal, whatever, he's been in every single Dramageddon, and it appears that he's a person that just kind of like stirs the pot. Like, you know, stays out of the direct limelight, but like stirs the pot. Not only has he been involved in that, but when, you know, a lot of this stuff was like coming to light, people were doing bigger deep dives into him and whatnot. And literally, you guys, so much information came to light that I just could not even like wrap my mind around or believe, because the person that I felt like I knew on social media was not the person being described in these allegations, which were like super racist behavior, and they had proof for all of this stuff between like comments, videos, tweets, whatnot, like super racist behavior. Also, there were people in the community coming forward that like how he was like blackmailing, threatening, like people were scared of him, so it's like, I don't know what that's about, but it's enough to be like shady. He was also encouraging, and they had documentation of this. He was encouraging people to self-harm. And that for me was like super triggering and like messed up, because if you struggle with mental health or have had that struggle in the past, you know that when you're in that place of like tipping, if someone gave you a little push, that could be it. Like, you know, so that was disgusting. He had a lot of drama with Kat Von D as well in the past, and some of the people he keeps company with, known like pedophiles. So he just seems like a really sketchy human being that like I didn't know about that before, and someone who is honestly just like, oh, my nose itches, really unkind. And yeah, I don't know, I encourage you to go watch that video, because it just goes into so much. It is so crazy, you guys. Like, and the only things I own from Jeffree Star, I think, still are like a couple highlighters, but everything else is gone. I used it up or I gave it away. Like, I just could not. It was so just like disgusting to see a human treat other humans that way. So I would definitely look into that if you want more information. The next one is Morphe, and honestly, I was like writing this stuff down last night, and I was like, what was the final straw for me with Morphe? Like, what was it? Because Morphe is so known for like their shady business practices, and partnerships and whatnot. And I was trying to think, I was like, man, what was the final straw for me? Because I think it was in 2020 or 2021 that I quit. I think it was 2021 that I had stopped purchasing from Morphe, because I was like, I'm done. This is the last straw. But I can't even remember what it was that the last straw was. I do feel like they haven't been involved in a scandal for a while though. And I was really surprised that when the stuff about Jeffree Star and about James Charles came out, they did remove their products from their inventory. Like, they were like out of here, which was good. Really surprised me. But like, I can't even remember what the final straw was from Morphe, you guys, because they are just a problematic brand. Which like you can actually, my friend, her handles Just Me. I'll put it up here. She does these things called the Rabbit Report over on IG, and she saves them to highlights, and she does super deep dives on brands, and it is so good. She did one on Morphe probably within the last like month or two. The tea is hot. So if you want to go check that out, I'll link her so that you can go check out her page. But they've been shady for so long. I don't even know what the straw was. They're problematic as hell always. But I haven't heard of anything in a while. But maybe that's just also because I've separated myself from the brand and I don't buy from them. I don't look at their stuff. Like, The next brand that I don't support is Dose of Colors. And they didn't do anything like super problematic against like the community. I just personally felt wronged by the brand. I was sent a product that I bought. So I bought a product because their concealer used to be my favorite and they're having half off. So I bought two, and within 3 months of having the product, it had clearly expired. So it led me to believe that they were selling products that were like almost expired, which it was half off, but still that concealer is expensive. So what the crap? So I had messaged the brand and I sent them pictures and whatnot. And they were just like, here's a coupon for 10% off your next purchase. Like, why would I purchase from you knowing that you sent me a product that's almost expired? Like, it just... And when I tried to like talk to them about that and whatnot, they literally just like ignored me. And for me, it just overall felt like a really bad customer service experience. And so like, I don't want to support that brand or recommend that brand to you guys, because I wouldn't want to recommend a brand and then knowing I had a shit experience, you then had a really bad experience and got expired product from them. Like, I would not want that to happen. So I don't support them. The last thing in my collection I have from them is this foundation, and I'm currently panning it, and then that'll be it for Dose of Colors. They'll be out of here. But yeah, I always try to be mindful of that. Like, if I've had a good or a bad customer service experience, like, I don't want to promote brands that have really terrible customer service, or they just don't do the right thing. Like, you know, I feel like if Dose of Colors would have been, oh, like, so sorry, blah, 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 we'll send you a replacement. Okay, cool, awesome. You know, and hopefully it would have been good. But they're just like, oh, yep, here's 10%. Like, oh, thanks for $2 off your, like, almost $30 concealer. Thank you, thank you. No, like, no. So that's why they're on my list of brands I don't support. I don't want anyone else to have that experience with them. And this is why I think that that is so important, because this next brand, I bought these products because someone in the community had recommended them, talked highly of them, and they had received them in PR. Well, so I was like, okay, like, you know, I had my eye on these. The brand is Kylie Cosmetics. I don't even know if they're still a brand. I have them blocked. But they had posted something, because I was following them because I had planned to make an order sooner or later. And they posted this thing where, you know, COVID was really hard on them and their brand was going through some struggles. And they did like a discount code, and if you could place an order, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, okay, well, here's a good time. It's going to, you know, support them in their time of need. But also, I'm getting a little bit of a discount. So I picked up their line of waterliners and this like pigment thing. I don't know. So anyways, it said it shipped, and then after like 3 weeks, it had not moved anywhere. It was just the, you know, when you get when smaller brands will say it's shipped, but really the label's just been created and they need to drop it off. So the label was created, and then after about 3 weeks, so at this time we're at 4 weeks, nothing had happened. So I reached out to the brand and they were like, oh, I dropped it off. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, we've been having so much problems with mailers during COVID, blah, 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 blah. I'll like, you know, check up on it for you and all this stuff. And then literally, after that, like nothing happened. And I was like, you know, they're a smaller brand. Like I didn't want to be pushy. And I waited another month and nothing. And I reached out and I was like, hey, just wanted to follow up on my freaking order. And they were like, oh yeah, like, sorry, like, we'll, you know, ship a new one out, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, like at this point, like, no, like, why am I having to ride your butt to send me the products that I paid for to help you out? Like, no, I was like, I don't want the products because I don't want to feature them on my platform anymore. So I would just like, you know, refund. It's been over 2 months, haven't got my stuff, like I'm done. So at this time she gets like shitty because I think it's just like one woman, maybe two, but she gets like really shitty with me. And I'm just like, why are you attacking me? Like, you're the one that hasn't shipped my product, even though you said that you did, but I know that you're lying because if I check the tracker number, it just says that the label's been created. You haven't actually dropped it off. Like, you have not shipped my shit. And so then she was like, well, fine, we'll just like refund you, blah, blah, blah. So they refunded me and I was like, good, it's finally done. And then the next day they canceled the refund. Yeah. And it was interesting because when I posted about it, because I was so pissed because I was like, nah, fuck this brand. It had happened to several other people too. So I fully feel like they're just like running a scam. And it was Kylie Cosmetics. Like, I feel like they were just straight up running a scam. And then I messaged the person that had received the product in PR. And I was telling her about it because at the time we were like friends. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And she goes, yeah, I had that problem with them too. Their customer service was like really bad. And at that point I was like, ew, then why would you recommend this experience to all of your followers? Pretty soon after that, I wasn't friends with her anymore. Because I just felt like I couldn't trust her. I was like, why would you do that? Because I wouldn't. If I had an experience like that, y'all are gonna know. And I am not gonna be recommending that brand to you guys because who wants to deal with that crap? Not me. Like, if you want to make sales, get your shit together. Like, I'm not waiting like that. So, yeah. No for that brand. The next brand is Juvia's Place. Lord. This one was bad. So, they literally paid a content creator to film a reel showcasing their products, and then Juvia's Place featured it on their page. And in this reel, the creator used an Asian slur. It was so bad. And the creator was like, oh, I didn't know it was like a slur. And like, my thing is, who are you hanging out with that, you know, uses that word so often that you think that it's okay? Because, and two, Juvia's Place was like, oh, it was a mistake, blah, 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 we're sorry. Well, then you obviously don't have enough API representation on your team to have recognized that, oh, we probably shouldn't post a racial slur to our grid. Yeah, and it's my understanding that the API community is still not in support of Juvia's Place. And, you know, they were hurt by this and they're still hurt by this, you know, understandably. So when they did this, I pulled my support of Juvia's Place. And I don't plan to support them again. So that is my reasoning for that one. The next one is Ofra. And I think that this happened last year in 2021. Oh, this was so problematic, you guys. So the owner of Ofra, old white man, if you don't know, a photo of him was linked, support, like wearing pro-Trump propaganda, stuff like that, and he was throwing up a symbol that is known to be an affiliation with the KKK. He said that that's not what it was, whatever, you know, and obviously the POC community was like very offended by this. Shit, I was offended by this, like, because those groups are still active and it's terrifying. When he did this, Ofra they posted like an apology to their stories, which, come on now. And then obviously the community didn't take that well. So they posted it onto their grid and they had him step down, but he is still on the board, which means that he is still directly profiting from any kind of sales that are made to Ofra. So even though he's no longer at like the face of the company, he is still a part of it and he is still profiting from those sales. And so, yeah, I don't support the POC community, still doesn't support from the friends that I know anyways. So I just don't purchase from them anymore. And this one like wasn't really that hard for me. I was like just starting to kind of get into Ofra. But yeah, I just feel like after something like that, I just don't even have the taste for the brand. I'm just like, ew, no. I'm like, no, we don't like that. The next one is Drunk Elephant. And this is one that I like wasn't aware of, or somehow like was not in the circle of like the drama that happened with this. But probably because like I've never tried anything from Drunk Elephant. I've never been into that brand. It's like, I think it's a little more on the pricey side. And skincare is another thing I'm not like, you know, I kind of stay in my lane with skincare. So, but someone enlightened me over on IG when I was posting about brands I don't support. And so I did a little bit of research, and Drunk Elephant, I guess, has a really long history of bullying their audience in the comments, and then also a history of spreading misinformation to their audience as well when it comes to skincare, that like the same products work for every single skin type, stuff like that. But I guess they've had this like reputation for years, just being kind of like a bully brand and spreading misinformation. And the thing that it looks like, which is what I had read an article on, was during the BLM, during the Pull Up for Change, they were viewed as performative by the POC community. And this is because they are viewed to be like a false ally to the Black Lives Matter movement. And this is because they were essentially lying about why they couldn't release any kind of numbers. And they were saying that they were doing all of these things, but they couldn't prove it. Whereas like other brands were like, yeah, like here's the receipts. We're doing this, we're doing that. And Drunk Elephant was just refusing. And I guess, you know, they weren't really open to be a part of the Pull Up for Change, which is still a hashtag. And I would recommend checking that out over on IG. It gives a lot of information about brands that were in support of the POC community and the changes that they actually did and made to be more of an ally. And, you know, like I've said before, at the end of the day, we need to be listening to the voices of the people that were offended and that were, you know, attacked by the harmful things that the brands have done. And it is not a secret that the POC still hates drunk elephant. So they're ones that I don't support because I just feel like, you know, I have friends of color and I don't want them to think that I'm, you know, lining the pockets or supporting a brand that doesn't care about them or insults them or offends them. Like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that friend. So they're out. The next brand is Colourpop. And it's not because they put out like 3 new launches a week, but that is honestly enough to make me feel pretty burnt out on them. When this information like came to me, I already kind of hadn't really been buying from them just because at the sheer volume they were launching products was like really overwhelming to me. So I wasn't really intrigued. But, and I know like during the pull up for change, they were not, they didn't really do it either. Their brand is not inclusive at all when it comes to color stories and shades, which is like at this point is definitely intentional, because if you guys haven't seen it, there's like a documentary on Jesus, on Netflix, and Colourpop is, the way they have their business model set up is to react to trends and have a quick turnaround time so that they can jump on the trend and sell more. So it's very like, it's not a process like everyone else where it's years in making. It's very like, oh, we have a concept, we have an idea, it's done within 2 weeks kind of situation. So if Colourpop wanted to be inclusive, they would be, and they easily could be. I think they made it pretty clear that they just choose to not be, which is gross. Because I feel like really small brands, you know, when they're starting out, it's a little bit more difficult to have a really large range. So they try to really focus on, you know, the tones to try to make it more inclusive. Whereas this larger brand like Colourpop could very easily expand in diversity, but they openly just choose not to. And on top of that, one of my actual, like my favorite Colourpop palette, I think it's the only one still left in my collection, is the Sandstone palette. And it's still here, but it was brought to my attention that this palette was extremely problematic because the embossing in the packaging here was stolen from Native American culture and customs. And not only that, but the shade names, I guess, were extremely insensitive in the fact that they are literally, a handful of them are named after places where Native Americans were just slaughtered, massacred, like it just, and so people brought this to Colourpop's attention to be like, hey, like this palette is extremely, you know, insensitive due to the shade names, the print, you know, this kind of stuff. It's very like triggering, offensive to this culture. And Colourpop was like, oh, like we sincerely apologize, like we didn't know, you know, like all of this stuff, we're gonna completely repackage, reformulate, blah blah blah. And they never did, and they kept just selling this, like they never did it. And I don't know, I think it's sad because I was like, okay, if they didn't know and they were going to change it all and whatever, I could get more on board with that, but they chose to blatantly ignore. And I also feel like when brands have these like big research teams, are you really telling me that no one researched any of it? Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that I find it very hard to believe. It's very like sus, like, so yeah, that put a really not good taste in my mouth. And with everything else, I was like, you know what? I'm just done with Colourpop. I don't need it. They've been problematic. I've heard horror stories about their customer service as well. Luckily, I have not experienced that, but I think that it kind of sucks because they're really just, you know, affordable, good makeup. But at the end of the day, they're just not good people. And that's what stinks. It's like, God, can't you just be good freaking people? Like, why do you have to be a piece of crap? You know, why do people have to be shitty? Just, it drives me nuts. Speaking of shitty people, this next person just bleeds problematic. Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. Oh my Lord, you guys. If you want to know the history on Jaclyn Hill up until about 3 years ago, I highly recommend Here for the Tea does a really great in-depth video. That's actually where I found a lot out about Jaclyn Hill and her history, because I never really supported her because I felt like she's just not an honest person at all. And she's not trustworthy. Like, she's a liar. I just feel like you can't trust her. And I'm like, I'm not going to trust you with my money, because she's just, it's so bad. So yeah, I would check out that video from Here for the Tea. It goes into all the issues with her launches with Morphe, from, you know, changing the formula and not telling consumers, to messed up launch dates for these super crazy, outrageous stories. But like, every time she launched something with Morphe, it was literally always something, to her huge scandal with Makeup Geek and how Jaclyn pretty much just fucked that brand owner over so hard. That was just some real shady business. And then also, of course, the iconic lipstick drama with those products. Yeah, there's just, with Jaclyn, there's always something. And, you know, I just, for that reason, I'm like, you know, it's not a brand that I can count on, because it's always something crazy, you know, and it's just, it's very unbelievable to me, and it's not a good vibe. And I would rather put my money with a brand that I feel like more comfortable with. So that is my piece on her, but I highly recommend you guys watch that video from Here for the Tea, because it's going to shed a lot of light. So I would definitely go to their channel. There is one brand that I am currently taking a break from, which is Natasha Denona. She recently posted a tutorial on her page with the person from the API community, and she was talking about the different techniques to use on mono. I had to look up the word, because I honestly didn't even know what it meant. It was mono something eyelids, but essentially it's where like the eyelid is just like one, like you don't have the fold, or it's like it folds all the way over. But I guess it's something that can be like hereditary in the API community. And I didn't even see this. I didn't even know about it until a lot of the people that I follow that are part of the API community were outraged. And they were talking about it and how insensitive it was and how misinformed it was. And like I said, during situations like this, it's really up to us to just listen and support our friends and the community that has been wronged. And so that's what I'm doing. Some of my friends have openly talked about how this has offended them and how it is insensitive, and how they are also taking a break from the brand. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm taking a break from the brand as well. Natasha Denona also just recently had the scandal with the skin glass. So There is a brand with Skin Glass. It is POC owned, an indie brand, smaller brand. And when Natasha Denona released Skin Glass, this owner came forward and was like, you know, you're literally ripping off my product, like down to the packaging, down to the name. And Natasha Denona had like apologized for it and said, you know, they didn't know. But it's one of those things where, like, if you have a research team, if you would have just typed that in, that product would have came up. So it's so hard to believe when you have people that you specifically pay to do the research. Like, I think those people should be let go. They obviously didn't do the research if what she's saying is true, you know? So it's just back to back, the POC community, the API community. So I'm just waiting to hear what my friends in those communities' stances are and what they say. And then honestly, I will follow suit to support them. So that's kind of where I stand with Natasha Denona right now. Woo, that's all, friends. I told you it would be a long video, but I had, you know, several brands I don't support and one that's on the pause list. I am very interested to hear about what are some brands that you don't support and why? Or if, you know, there's a brand on here you also don't support, let me hear it. Or if you have ones that are on the chopping block, I want to hear about that as well. It's one of those things where, like, I feel like we learn the most when we chat as a community and, like, inform one another, because some of these things, that's how I learned about them. I was informed by someone in the community, because it's really hard to be aware of everything that's going on, especially, you know, when we have a real life and then we're on social media, like, you know, it's hard to just keep up. So if there is a brand that you don't support that I missed, let me know in the comments. I'm very interested to hear about the brand and hear why you don't support them. But yeah, that is all for me today. If you made it this far, thank you so freaking much for watching. I hope that you'll subscribe and stick around. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button before you leave. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!